Hey there folks, welcome back. Are you ready? Are you ready for your impending summer of death? Those of you who have survived our promised winter of death, I'm very disappointed in that, by the way. I was all ready for a winter of death and nothing happened. I was waiting for the Red Cross to come out here with backhoes and start digging pits and filling it with diesel and bodies. Didn't happen. Where's my winter of death, Biden? But now we're getting promises of a summer of death. Not quite as theatrical as all of that, but there's a lot of things that are going on in the world right now, and various warning signs are pointing to something happening in August or September. First thing that comes to mind is, of course, George Soros and him talking about how the war with Russia will change our society forever. Will it? Our society? I don't think you're in my peer group, George Soros. Yeah. I don't know why you even chime in on anything. People hate your guts. I remember when he visited in South America, I forget which country this is, maybe somebody can tell me in the comment section, and there was an ocean of protesters out there at the airport screaming and yelling for him to go home because they didn't want him there. Nobody wants that guy around. They don't like or trust him. But he thinks that society will change forever. Or maybe he just wants it that way.
Or maybe he'll pay for it to change, like he did with the BLM.
Yeah,
paying all those people to go and destroy other people's property.
They linked him to that, but they sure didn't charge him with anything,
did they?
No,
they didn't charge Hillary Clinton either.
We're hearing from sources that are claiming that the whole world only has a 10-week supply of wheat left. How did that happen? You know, unless the farms were just, I know, and it's a big pet peeve of mine, farms routinely, and this is globally, not just in the United States, destroy a majority of their crops because of changes in price. Also, with the virus scare that we just went through, a lot of people were shut down. You know, that's why meat prices went up. They couldn't bring their meat to market to get processed. Somebody was telling me who worked on a large hog farm that they had to kill them all. It was like it was cheaper to exterminate the hogs that were there and dispose of them and start from scratch with new piglets than it would be to keep them around and wait for the processing plants to open back up. So a lot of that could stem out of that fluctuation in the market, by which a lot of things were shut down and then opened back up again, deliberately, by the way. But to sit there and say 10 weeks of wheat and the whole world will be out of wheat is very specific, which lands you somewhere in August, early September again. Where does that number come from? Why are there, I don't think the US stores wheat anymore, did they? Because we had ridiculous amounts of surplus, or we used to. I think we were 2.5 years ahead on corn at one point because it was being overproduced so heavily. We export wheat, barley, rice, and corn, and all sorts of grains overseas constantly. When the shipping had slowed down and they were all backed up the ports, exports were still going out. We were sending all sorts of grain to China. And it's like, okay, we can't get anything in, but the boats are leaving with our food to China. But now that's going to happen again, they're warning us. Speaking of shipping, because Singapore and some of the other places that were on lockdown that had cargo ships lined up for months are being released. Where are they going? They're coming here. So that is going to be backed up again, like it had been. When is that happening? August, September. Think about it. The whole thing with the baby formula, it's kind of ridiculous when you really study it, and I was thinking about doing a separate video on it for Coffee Talk. What's going on with the formula? They're blaming Putin for the shortage. Oh, it's because of the war with Ukraine. Really? It wasn't out before that? It was out before that for a while because, and I believe it's Similac, their Michigan plant got shut down. So there's only one plant making one type of formula in the country. They got shut down because they had a recall and the FDA came out and closed them down. And then the makers of Similac are like, why are you shutting us down? We handled it. Well, they're waiting to get reopened, but the FDA won't come back because a whistleblower said that some of their, and look this stuff up, I'm not kidding, it sounds crazy, but I'm not kidding, that some of their employees tested positive for the C virus. So those employees aren't going to be there, are they? If that's the case, aren't their false protocols going to make them stay home or something? And the FDA can't come and make an inspection to open the plant back up? Meanwhile, we're importing formula from Europe. Why don't we import it from South America? They got tons of it. I asked about that, and people were sending me some photographs. South American supermarkets are overstocked with baby formula. You know why? Because most of them breastfeed. Breastfeeding, or not breastfeeding rather, is more of a Western thing. The rest of the world, the non-first world nations, mostly breastfeed. But we're going to ship it in from Europe so that it'll be real expensive and you'll have to wait. Gee, I wonder when that's going to get here. I don't trust any of it. It's all building to this. Shootings have suddenly escalated again. It's been a while, but now that's building up again. And we talked about that a lot in the last video, about the most recent one. And it's funny how often that sort of thing's been happening in Texas recently. I guess somebody wants to make Texas look bad. A lot of conspiracy theories to go around. I know I sound like I'm crazy, but that's okay. If it gets you thinking, then think. Don't just believe everything you hear and everything that you're told. Do I think that something horrible is going to happen in August? It's possible. It could just be a lot of theory. It could just be a lot of concern, but there's nothing wrong with being concerned about it. And there's nothing wrong with preparing for that either. Whatever it is you think you're not going to be able to find in August, get it now. Especially since a lot of those cargo containers from the last time have caught up, and a lot of the overstocks in warehouses like Sam's Club and Costco and Walmart and everything are filling up fast with tons of merchandise. Problem is, some of it's getting close to expiration because it was sitting in cargo ships for months,
over a year,
than it should have.
So it's going on clearance right away.
A lot of it may end up going on sale or clearance. Watch out for that.
Yeah.
Keep your eyes out for that. Look for other alternatives. There's been threats of rolling blackouts and of brownouts. When? August and September. Of course, this is when they think this is going to happen. It's funny how they set that up. Why? Because of the droughts, and with the droughts, there's less hydroelectric power. So you have that to worry about. You have the possibility of like power fluctuating on and off, the possibility of a shortage of water or a blackout on water, if you will, where they shut the water off for a little while. Things that I experienced growing up in Boston, when the power would go out for a day or two, or it would be a brownout. And for those of you who aren't familiar with what a brownout is in a modern age, it's when, you know, the lights dim and come back up, dim and come back up, because somebody's at the controls going like this, trying to balance things out. Water would stop sometimes for hours at a time, and then they would get it going again, the reservoirs in Boston. So I've experienced that, and then when it comes back up, it's brown. You know, it's all nasty and rusty, or was, because I haven't been to Boston in years. I don't know if that still happens there, but you get the idea. Are you prepared for that? Are you prepared for the idea that water may stop? Are you prepared for the idea that you may not find anything at the supermarket, or it may not even be safe to go there? You know, that's why we're always on about, you know, your pantries. Pantries should include water, keep it rotated, keep it stocked. That no matter what any impending disaster is, that will help you a lot. Are you about to have a baby? Have you considered natural nursing? Again, most of the rest of the world still breastfeeds. Only in like first world Western civilized countries do they not do that anymore. And they want you to use formula. And the formula if I'm not mistaken, unless they changed it. It used to have a thing on the label that says not a good substitute for breast milk. Why wouldn't you want to give your kid the best? I know it might be uncomfortable at first, but hey, it's worth a shot, you know, especially if there's not going to be any formula available, or if it's going to be contaminated, which is why Similac was pulled in the first place. And also keep in mind it's got a lot of estrogen. Because they use soy, so it's got that estrogen in it. And people are, oh, I know, but that's plant estrogen. And
estrogen's estrogen.
Estrogen, yeah, it still has an effect. There's a lot to think about, but there's a lot of things that have been thrown out there. The WHO, that's another one, the WHO. They're trying to give WHO authority over countries that are involved with the UN, the US included, that they can make health decisions for a country. Never give your power away to another country. Never give them a foothold or any kind of authority. Ask anybody that had UN troops show up in their country how well things went. You know, we don't need that. But then Biden, I believe the man's a puppet. I don't think he's as crazy or as senile as he acts. The phrase plausible deniability comes to mind. There's something else going on. They want to control us. But we should still be prepared for that. And, you know, that's my diatribe about the summer of death. The summer of death. And I know there's a lot of chest pounding from a lot of YouTube channels about that, because they think the world's going to end in August because of all of these things. Not necessarily so, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't think about it. You shouldn't keep it in mind.
Yeah, I mean, if you are a prepper or survivalist, you should be ready at all times, no matter what's going on, no matter what the situation is, because that's the whole thing about being a prepper. You have your water, you have your food, you have your medical supplies, you're mentally and physically prepared. All the things that you need, you have. So you don't get all up in arms, you don't get surprised, because this is what you've been preparing for the whole time. This is what you've been preaching. Now all you have to do is live it out. And you know, they talk about fuel shortages. They're talking about,
that's right, there's that too.
Yeah, the diesel fuel, trucks won't be able to go places and things like that.
Because they did just, Biden administration did just shut down 3 more operations.
Yeah.
Two out on the coast of Alaska and 1 in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, it's nothing to really panic about.
Don't panic, just be smart.
Yeah, especially if this is the lifestyle that you've chosen to live. You just keep living and use the stuff that you have stored up, because that's why you were storing it up.
That's why.
Make sure you just got extra. Make sure your family is ready. Make sure your family is prepared. They don't go freaking out. They don't go screaming all over the place. You know, but you're ready. So that's all I have to say about
all
that.
we can do is ask you to think about it. Think about it and be prepared. Are you ready to take the lead? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Anyways, thoughts? Feel free to post your thoughts in the comments section down below. Please do give the video a thumbs up if you got something out of it. We hope that you did. Share it if you can, probably the only way it will get seen. Subscribe if you're new, all that good stuff. If you saw random images of cats or dogs, they're strays that we take care of. People dump a lot of animals out here, and we try to help them out. And those images help with the loading algorithm on YouTube. If you'd like to help the channel out, there are links for that down below. Every little bit helps, and we sure do appreciate it. And if that's it, then what more can I say but stay frosty, folks, and thanks for watching.